wait for the microphone to ask your question. Coach Navy?
Okay, not good enough, and it's my responsibility. I think when you evaluate the game, the red zone missed opportunities caught up with us, and we let them hang around. And certainly the penalties contributed to the game. I think we had over 100 yards in penalties. It extended their drives, and it slowed down our drives. You add in the bad snap for the safety, and then you lose the explosive play battle, and you lose the turnover margin. You don't deserve the right to win. And you had 7 possessions in the second half and punted 6 times, and ultimately let them hang around, and they kick a field goal there. They take it down the field and kick a field goal to win us. So I want to keep it short and sweet. I think that we can do much better. We can coach better. We can play better. Obviously, I don't like these any more than our fans do or you do. And we have to do much better. And I think that we have a group that will respond, and tomorrow will present that opportunity. So I think that sums up the game. And I know you got questions, so what are they?
Billy, the undisciplined actions by your team, how surprising was that, given that you've preached about this team being different, this team having a level of accountability, and then for them, the penalties on the offensive line, some of the PI, obviously the spitting was, how unacceptable is that for you? And what do you say to people you've talked to for months about this team is different?
Yeah, no, I think the procedure penalties, obviously, we can live with the technical penalties. There's always going to be a handful of those. The ones that keep you up at night are the ones that are player decision making. So there's got to be some ownership there on both ends. They're under my leadership. It's ultimately my responsibility. So we need to eliminate the false starts. We need to eliminate the personal foul. We did have a substitution penalty as well, right? So those are the ones as coaches that we have to take responsibility for.
Is that coaching? Are you duped by them in terms of their accountability?
No, I think that the players make mistakes as part of the game, but I do think that ultimately it's my responsibility. So I think it is coaching.
Yeah, Billy, a season starting in the hole again and heading to LSU now. What's the challenge for you guys ahead now? It's like you're kind of already behind the 8 ball before the season barely began.
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. And look, this will be a challenge. It'll be a challenge for every individual in the organization, player and staff. But I do think the game can teach you a lot, and I think we'll have our opportunity to respond. And I think that this group has been through some of these battles before. I'm hopeful that can help us. But look, I'm more concerned with the football, I think that's ultimately, I think there's a lot of positive in terms of the other stuff. The football's got to get better. We got to take ownership of the football.
What's the message to fans? 14 straight sellouts. You've lauded their support.
No, we're thankful. It was an incredible.
But you come out. And
they were a factor. We have there's no excuse here. Yeah, I'm not up here to make excuses.
They were able to hold for the game-winning field goal. Was there a thought about trying to burn some time out sooner, or how did you kind of view the clock management there in the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, well, we had 2, right? So ultimately, at that point, there's going to be a field goal kicked. They have 1, right? So they had an extra down. So regardless of when the timeouts get called, it's going to end up about the same.
Coach, all the noise at the beginning of last season is probably going to start again. Does that concern you at all?
Yeah, it is. We created it. We deserve it. So you know, if you play football like that, you're going to be criticized. It comes with the territory, right? So only thing you can do is go get it fixed. And that's what we'll start working on tomorrow.
Also, what did you say to your player about the spitting penalty?
Well, I haven't had that conversation with him yet. You know, we'll take a good look at it, but it's unacceptable. And I think we got a lot of players in that room as well that have the same belief that it's unacceptable. So when a guy does something like that, he's compromising the team. He's putting himself before the team. And everything the game is about, you're compromising. So there'll be lessons to be learned there. Yeah, it's that simple.
Billy, how would you assess the step back that the defense appeared to take this week compared to last, with missing more tackles, seemingly struggling to keep Brown contained, and obviously the big passing touchdown that he had on that play? What did you see on that in particular?
Well, I think that, you know, the ball's in the air. You know, I think we've got two players breaking on the ball. I think there's opportunity there. You know, I think ultimately there's a quick substitution, and we've got to get our call in. And I think that was the biggest issue, is we didn't necessarily have a call. They snapped it as quick as possible. So in general there's opportunity to make a play on the ball. We misjudged the ball a little bit, but ultimately I think that's the thing that you're going to evaluate.
Billy, do you think you're the right man for this program? 14-7 in the Swamp. The losses keep mounting, and some of the mistakes that keep happening with this program. Do you think you're the right guy?
Yeah, I think I'm more concerned with doing my job to help lead these young men. I think that that's a big picture question, and I think right now it's more about today. It's more about what we do tomorrow, and I think that's what we got to get consumed with. So I think I'm consumed with doing the best job I can do for the players, leading the staff, and getting the football fixed, because ultimately that's going to decide how far we go around here.
Coach, when you talk about the football, you know, there'll be some people that question some of the calls based upon a heavy box or looking out man to a certain size and then running to that side. How much leeway does DJ have, responsibility with getting you all into the right play, and does he have that flexibility within the scheme to maybe get you guys out of that? And is that a byproduct of just him continuing to grow as a quarterback in 9th or 10th start?
Yeah, I can take a better look at it. I'll let you know on Monday. I like to watch the tape. But I do think that there's a lot we can do better. You know, I think that, and there's going to be ownership from staff and players here. But in general, I'll be able to give you a better answer on Monday.
Okay.
Obviously, a ton of football left. Last year, you praised the team for not fracturing amid the difficult circumstances with the amount of veterans that you have. Just your confidence level that this is maybe going to galvanize the group and they're going to get the response you're looking for.
Yeah, we won't have that issue. We won't have that problem. This group won't. They won't splinter. There's too much good in that room. That's not the issue.
Billy, what were your thoughts on the play calling tonight? Offensively.
I think that there was a ton of missed opportunities in the game early. I think that we shot ourselves in the foot quite a bit. I think we played from behind the sticks. Penalties were a major issue. And then I think that we didn't get it done in the second half. We had 7 possessions and 6 punts. So to me, when I think about it, I think about the second half. I think there's some opportunities there to make some plays, but also think we contribute to that as coaches, right? So I'd like to watch the tape before I comment on that. But in general, I think there's a combination of both. That's how I would say it.
And how costly was it to have those 2 touchdowns called back on the same series there?
Yeah, I think the holding penalty was definitely a penalty. We grabbed the guy. I think the OPI, I think will be up for debate. We'll see what that looks like when we turn it in. But I think the guy's running a route. There's some Yeah, I mean, so, and again, those are huge plays in the game because they allow the opponent to hang around, right? So we're in the red area a couple different times. We have 2 touchdowns called back. We have false start penalties in the red area. We're forced to kick field goals. We got 9 points to show for it at half. So we moved the ball. You know, I think we had close to 220-something yards at halftime, right? So we had moved it up and down the field. We just didn't score touchdowns. So, look, we can sit here and talk about all these technical things. Man, it's not good enough, okay? So we got work to do. You guys know it. I know it. Anybody that watched it knows it. We got to take ownership of it, and we got to go back to work. So that's it.
I was going to may I ask 2 quick ones.
Sure.
You may have kind of addressed it more or less, but the one drive where they get the ball back, what kind of went into that? I mean, DJ's throwing on first down, and
Yeah.
is that just one where, I mean, you guys got to be able to line up and just kind of like get first downs, right, at this point?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's exactly what you needed to do at that point. And I think we got ourselves into a good play. You know, we had a chance on 3rd down to put the game away, basically, right? So we had to match up in the slot. We got a chance to make a play, and the game's essentially over at that point. So, you know, but there's a lot of individual plays, okay? It's the summation of them all, okay? I mean, so we contributed too much to their success, you know. The last thing I want to say is I don't want to discredit South Florida, okay? I think they did a lot of good things out there. I have respect for how they play. Give them some credit for hanging around and finding a way to win the game, okay? You know, but I do think that we had our opportunities to win the game tonight. We got to go get it done. So we got to clean up these things that are under our control.
The positive ending here, please. Trey Wilson, Burnell Brown. I mean, the big punt return. Trey looked like he kind of emerged a bit tonight. He's been, you know, we haven't seen that for a while.
Yeah, no, two really good slot players. Both made a bunch of plays tonight. We tried like crazy to get them involved. We did. Obviously, the punt return was huge. We were able to capitalize on that. So those will be bright spots, but it's hard to have any when you don't get the results you want. So back to work here. All right. Thank you all.
All right, we got Devin Moore for you guys. Please wait for the microphone to ask your question.
Yeah, Devin, last season started out rough, too. Doesn't get any easier starting next week, but what's kind of the rallying cry for this team right now?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're brothers. You know, we put in blood, sweat, tears, a lot of time, and, you know, we can't help but stick together. You know, I done seen guys in that locker room cry. You know, I didn't cry with guys in that locker room. So, you know, there's no choice but to stick together. You know, we family.
The undisciplined penalties and stuff, I mean, last week flawless, no penalties. This week 11 and some real costly ones. What do you guys, how do you explain that? Do you get swept up in the moment? Just what do you think that was?
Yeah, we just got to just put the team first. You know, sometimes your emotions could get high, but you can't jeopardize the team. And then also take accountability for your actions and just clean it up when we see it on film and, you know, just address it. That's the most important part. You know, it shouldn't be the coaches that have to address it. It should come from, you know, your brothers holding you accountable because that's the strongest form.
How frustrating was it, the near pick there you probably should have had at the end? Did you feel like that's one you normally catch?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I had my hands on it, and then, I felt like the receiver got a little hand in there, but I got to come down with that if I want to be the player I want to be.
It gets overshadowed by the loss, but the defensive performance the last 2 weeks has been, obviously pretty good. Is that kind of the championship level defense you guys expected to play when the season started?
Not at all. There was a lot of point of attack plays out there as a defense that we could have made, including myself. So we definitely have more to clean up on the film, and we could be better as a whole defense. I believe anybody on that defense will tell you that, players, coaches, and we got to get back tomorrow and clean all that up.
Yeah, Brown, obviously, broke contain a few times. Just curious about your thoughts on him and what made him kind of difficult throughout the game.
Yeah, their whole offensive structure, the tempo, that was something you had to take into account. And then, he's a good player. He made some plays tonight that were crucial for their win. And we just got to go back tomorrow, see how we can, contain them more. And that's what the whole defense, that's just not on our edges or D-line. It's corners, DBs included, and we got to come together as a defense and, better contain running quarterbacks.
Devin, next week starts your SEC conference play, right? You talked about preparation through this whole off season. Like, what does it mean to start that SEC play next week, especially on the road, and I guess LSU, a team that you guys have a lot of history with?
Yeah, it means everything. Just like this week meant everything. I like to say we're all on a one-day contract. We treat every game the same. Every day of preparation is so important, because those plays out there are point-of-attack plays that, slide the game one way or another. We got to be able to, when that opportunity comes, we got to have the preparation done behind the scenes to make those plays. So it's very important. Every game is very important, the most important of the week.
Devin, the spitting penalty, how do you as a senior leader kind of handle something like that when it happens, especially on like a game-winning drive like that?
Yeah, for sure. Address it, hold my teammate accountable. There's no place for that as an individual, and certainly representing the University of Florida, there's no place for that here. This is a prestigious program, and that will be addressed for sure.
Just as a veteran on this team, how much responsibility do you feel to impart that message to a lot of the younger guys who may be motivated or feeling like this is going to be a setback that they could splinter? I know you said you don't have that problem, but it obviously starts with veteran leadership. How motivated do you feel to help lead that charge?
Extremely motivated. Like I said earlier, these guys I bled with, cried with, they've been a lot of long nights. So, I'm very motivated, me and other people on the team. And you can't be, everyone can hold everyone accountable. Even the young guys who haven't experienced as much, they should be holding me accountable and other leaders. So I'm ready to get back to work, clean this film up, and, just improve.
How much can you lean on just what happened last year? Do you guys go into the bye week and take more accountability and turn things around? How much can you lean on how things went last year in this current struggle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having that experience definitely helps, and it's just like a wake-up call to everybody. Every rep in practice matters. Every rep in the film room matters. We got to take it to that level of extreme. Everything matters. Nothing goes unnoticed.
How do you guys show your belief and backing for Billy? Because like last year, he's going to start just taking tremendous heat right out of the gate again.
Yeah, Coach Napier, he's a great coach and even a better person. He's changed a lot of people's lives on the team, and we believe in him 100%, 110%. He's going to put us in the right position to make plays, and it's up to us as players to make those plays. It might, from a fan's view or from, just an audience view, it might discredit Billy when really it's just a player who has to make that play, and he's in the perfect call.
Early in the game, there was an illegal substitution penalty on defense and allowed them to keep a drive alive, get a field goal. You could have had them off the field there. How do you guys kind of clean that up, and how tough is that with the substitutions when you guys are shuttling in and out like that?
Yeah, that was a big penalty. We just got to watch it on film and, find out what we can do better, not only as players, but, talking to the coaches, communicating with them, and, just take a step in that area.
Devin, obviously, the orange and blue, the Gators, right? The Gator fans, they see, they come out, they sell out, and they've seen, guys lose against USF. Can you talk about what does it mean for you to play for the orange and blue, and what message you have for the fans?
Yeah, it means everything to me. You know, this program has changed my life, made me a better football player, but even more important, a better man. And, you know, I know my teammates could say the same for that. So, you know, I feel like as a team, we owe it all to this program.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
No, we have one more.
DJ, can you just go into the vibe in the locker room after the game? Who spoke up to reiterate the message that this can't be something that breaks you guys with so much of the season left?
Yeah, for sure. You know, the vibe in the locker room was definitely, you know, we were definitely heartbroken, sad, you know, mad. You know, we could have played better. We left a lot of points on the board. You know, we did a lot of things that we should have cleaned up. So, yeah.
Just how out of character were the mistakes, the penalties, the spitting penalty as well? How much is that not reflective of how good, in your opinion, this team can be?
Oh, man, yeah. It's so out of character for us, you know. You know, Coach Napier, he's built the foundation from day one here, you know, and he knows, and we know what's the expectations here, and we didn't live up to that today.
Yeah, this season, last year's season started off in a real hole, too.
Yeah.
What can you draw on any of that? I mean, it doesn't get any easier, obviously.
Oh, no, it's football, you know. Good days, bad days, but, you know, it's always another day, and we're going to continue to improve, continue to work on the things that we need to work on as a group, and just focus on ourselves, you know.
Where do you feel like you're at right now in terms of your play? I mean, you barely played any football in the last 9 months. We know.
Yeah, correct. You know, I feel like I still didn't play very well. You know, we didn't get the W, so I didn't play well. You know, I put the offensive responsibilities on myself. You know, got to make the plays when I need to make the plays and when my guys are counting on me. So I put all that on me. And, you know, at the end of the day, I know what I'm capable of. My guys know what I'm capable of. And we're just going to continue to work hard, you know. And at the end of the day, that's all I can really say about it, yeah.
DJ, you're missing throws high. Is that something kind of mechanical or something you can put your finger on? It seemed like you had a few open receivers that you just kind of overthrew.
Yeah, no, it's football. You know, I'm going to miss some throws, you know, but it's all about how you bounce back. But next week, you know, we're going to continue to work on our connection, work on our timing and stuff like that, yeah.
You were described as having an edge throughout this week.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
how surprising is it, given your approach from last game, wanting to come into this and have a better performance, and then be facing this disappointment?
Yeah, I'm definitely surprised, you know, for sure. But it's football, you know, good or bad. You know, at the end of the day, I'm here to have fun and play football. And at the end of the day, we didn't play our best. But like I said, there's always another week, and we always can grow and improve on it.
Can you guys lean on what happened last year, the 1-2 start, avoiding fracturing and splintering, or is this new circumstances, new team?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we definitely have, you know, history of being in this situation, but it's a new guys, new group of new guys. So we're gonna rally together. We're gonna figure it out all together. You know, it's a new group of guys. So I'm excited, man. Like, we're gonna get out there and work hard this week, and we're gonna continue to take steps in the right direction.
Yeah, what'd you think of kind of Trey getting involved more than he has? He's kind of been on the shelf, and then Vernell, just his explosiveness and what he can kind of, you know, the kind of plays he can flip games with.
Yeah, for sure. It's great having those guys around, you know, and making plays for you. It's always great when you can have a receiver, you can throw a 5-yard hitch and they take it 90 yards. So it's great having those guys, and I'm just thankful. I can't wait to continue to build our relationship, build our chemistry. And yeah, it's gonna be fun.
DJ, how do you assess your health right now? Because it just looks like from the untrained eye that your shoulder doesn't look right on some of those throws down the field. And I know
Yeah.
you've missed 9 months of work, but how do you feel about where you're at?
No, I feel great. I feel great where my body's at right now. I'm still working on some things mechanically, and like I said, I'm just excited for the grind, Like, I'd rather good teams don't peak in September, they peak in December. So I'm ready to have, continue to work hard and continue to take strides for greatness.
But you feel like you can make those deep throws and like you did last year?
Yeah, for sure. Yes, sir. Like I said, coaches, they watch film too. They know what my strengths are, so they're preparing for it, and they're going to take that away. So got to learn how to, get the ball down and make other plays. But yeah, that's all I can say about that one.
So teams are basically like playing too deep and just like not letting you throw behind them.
Yeah, teams, they come out with different things, but that's kind of the gist right now. But, we're going to figure it out, and we'll continue to work with Coach O'Hara, work with Coach Napier and watching film and finding ways to dissect it. So, yeah.
And the last one, that drive that gave them the ball back, I mean, you guys only were able to take 27 seconds off the clock. That's got to be frustrating. Isn't that a time of a game where it's like you got the game in your hands, really? It's up to you guys to kind of close it out.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's definitely frustrating. And, I put that on me. I threw a pass when I shouldn't have, and, I got to be a better situational expert on that, on that end. We're in 4-minute mode, and I got to, keep the ball rolling, keep the clock moving and stuff like that. So, yeah. Cool.
Yeah, DJ, there's going to be a lot of outside noise after a game like this, fans kind of upset.
Yeah.
How do you as a leader kind of keep your locker room locked in and kind of avoid that noise?
Yeah, for sure. We really don't focus on the noise, good or bad. We come in every day, we work hard, and we give our best foot forth every single day, and that's kind of, yeah.
DJ, I know you guys have talked about the penalties, but some of the inexcusable ones, I mean, the spitting penalty and everything, how do you as a leader kind of address that going forward?
Yeah, for sure. Brendan, he's a heck of a player, and he made a mistake there. That doesn't identify his character at all. He's such a nice guy, nice kid, nice person to have in the locker room. He was in there crying and stuff like that, feeling bad, talking to the coaches, talking to the players, and apologizing for it. We don't ever hold that against anybody. So he's gonna come prepare this week, and and stuff like that. So yeah.
Any more, guys? All right. Appreciate you.
I appreciate y'all. All right, go Gators. Thank you.